listening to Real Coaching Radio TV, building a positive network.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programming, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world, most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org. Are you in the entertainment industry? If you answered yes and you want to promote yourself, your passion, and profession, check out Creative Independent Artist magazines at CIAartists.com. Endorsed by Kids Talk Foundation worldwide. You can hear shows from Real Coaching Radio TV network while on the go with Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher is a free news and talk mobile app available for your smartphones, smart TVs, and cars. And when you download Stitcher to hear shows from Real Coaching Radio TV network, you have a chance to win some money. Downloading is quick and easy. Just find Stitcher in the App Store. Download it. It's free and just takes a few seconds. Then, during registration, hit the promo code box and enter RCRN to get automatically entered to win $100. The latest episode of the shows will be waiting for you in your favorites. You'll get access to lots of other amazing shows too. Always available to you on demand. No syncing. It's Stitcher Smart Radio. Don't forget to enter promo code RCRN when you register at www.stitcher.com/RCRN.
Maxed Out Money Hour is your internet TV program all about money and what makes it go around to have it work for you, or not. Host Ninan and Coach Steve will be featuring informative interviews with financial companies, CEOs, and executives, providing insights into the financial world and their products, services, operations, and an outlook for our financial future. Here are your hosts, Ninan and Coach Steve.
Welcome everybody to the Maxed Out Money Hour on this wonderful Tuesday evening with your host Ninan DeVerderosa and your co-host myself, Coach Steve Doe, the founder of Real Coaching Radio and TV Network, and of course our guest coming to us from Texas, Brandon Batchick. Did I do that right?
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. It's basic. That's not bad, though, trust me, I promise.
It's basic?
Very basic.
Got it.
Aha!
Very basic.
That's where these basic properties. I'm connecting the dots.
That's from.
Yeah, there you go. Wow, absolutely. Wow, what an entry, huh?
So what's
Steve,
happening
how
in
are
the market,
you? How's
Ninan?
everybody? You good?
I'm good. I'm drinking.
Well, yeah, that's one. You got rid of your cold and everything. Well, a little trivia here. Gold. Let's talk about a little bit of gold here. There's three categories of gold. Well, not three categories. Three places that have the 1, 2, 3 of gold. And who do you think is number one that has more gold than most people?
I would say India would be the one that has the most.
Wrong. China.
That would be
Really?
my guess.
Yeah. And number two. What's number two, guys?
India.
You love India. Just keep India out of it. They got rubies, I think. No, Australia.
Oh, wow.
Really?
And who's number three? We all should know number three.
Must
Good
be
old
us.
US of A.
There you go. You got it right. Then also have another thing here. The 10 largest homes in America. There was one that's not quite in America. Who do you think owns one of the largest homes in America? I mean, this is amazing to me because it's just the size of the home is enormous. It's 48,000 square feet. Guess who owns it?
Well, it must be a celebrity.
Of course, it's a celebrity, and it's our incredible young man, 50 Cent.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yep, he owns one of the 10 largest homes in America. And then the house, house of the day is a house in Sardinia. And that sells for 16.6 million. That's all, just a mere pittance of money. Hey,
That's
Brandon,
just
what do you
change
think
for
of
you,
this?
Ninan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm working.
like-
You keep that much in your pocket.
I'll try.
The property's probably not pretty distressed, I would have to say.
I don't think any of these properties would be
Yeah.
distressed. I got a funny feeling. But 10 large properties in America, and 50 Cent owned one of them, and he's very, very large, 48,000 square feet, but I think that's amazing. What's going on in Texas? Do they have large properties there too, Brandon?
We do. I mean, the beautiful part of Texas is that I was actually just kind of reading some stuff before the show, and some of the most profitable, from an investing standpoint, properties are either in Dallas, Austin, or even the Houston area. Here in Dallas, of course, we have Jerry Jones. He owns the Cowboys. I think his house is worth about $40 million.
Wow.
It's not quite that big, but we have some beautiful homes here. We have a lot of space. So you have your mobile homes and you have your mansions.
Yeah, that's like every city. You have your small ones and your big ones. But paying $100 a month is just the same as paying $10 million a month.
Wow.
Just think, it's just zeros.
Yep.
They still have to pay it.
Absolutely.
So I have this intuition that there's nothing basic about Brendan Basic.
No.
Though
Talk
you'd be very right about that. I am well, if you ask my wife, you're going to get a completely different answer. But I have a great mother that raised me the right way, and I've got a great education, and I'm just trying to change the world one property and one life at a time. So that's kind of one of my motivating factors.
Yeah, it was funny. I was reading here that when you first started out, you were going into you went to medical school, and you were going to be in the emergency business, and you kind of made the switch.
I did. I didn't go to medical school. I was about to. I got accepted into medical school, and I'm still. I have a love for medicine. I mean, everybody goes through certain things in their life, and their family has cancer, or they come up with a disease, and you just become very curious about it. And I think curiosity is one of the things that drives America, drives innovation. And so it really drove me to understand more about certain things. And so it was very interesting. But as I grew older and my passion, my enthusiasm changed, things also changed as well.
Well, it also kills lots of cats.
So are you careful what you eat and what you do, Brandon, since you know a lot about medicine?
I do. I try to run about 3 miles every other day. I play indoor soccer. I love playing soccer. That's one of the few things that I get to do that kind of keeps my mind off of, or gets my frustrations out. My wife and I try to eat a lot of fish and vegetables and steamed vegetables, and we definitely try to watch what we eat. I believe everything we put into our body, that's fuel, and the better we can fuel our body, the better we're going to feel, the better we're going to act, the better we're going to do everything. And so it's, that is something very important to my wife and I.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. I was getting at to the point of eating good, exercising, doing all these wonderful things, and then when you go out into the world of business, you have a much clearer mind.
Absolutely. I mean, I always tell my investors, I said, I work strictly for you. I do everything I can to make sure that I am always on top of my game, always. And that includes eating right, getting plenty of sleep, and staying educated, and so forth. So my mind's very, very active. I read all the time.
Well, so you're still kind of in the emergency business, because there's lots of potential for emergencies in the real estate business,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
Well said. Well done, Steve.
And this is because you're exactly right. Emergencies do happen. Things do happen to the best of us. And there's a lot of people out there that like to take advantage of people. And that's one of the things that we definitely don't want to do. Now, we are investors. We do buy properties at significant discounts, but we don't go in there and we don't gouge people. If we don't force them to obviously do anything, there's just a lot of times where people just want out of certain circumstances for certain reasons, and our marketing efforts just try to bring out those types of people, and we just try to help them out in whatever way we can, and usually it's buying their property or helping them out in some other way with respect to real estate.
And sometimes when you say that, I think some of these people that are losing their homes, but sometimes it's really good to have a change. And I'm not saying for this to happen to them, but sometimes they can just get on a different platform, a different place, and start doing other things and really get on in life, because realizing what they gained and then what they lost, and now they sort of come to reality of what it really is. And sometimes this is very, very beneficial to people if they can only take it that way.
You just hit it right on the head. If they can take it that way, and that's the if. I had a gentleman that just put in over $20,000 to add more square footage to his house, but the problem is he's still $80,000 under. I tried to explain the process of comping a property, everything, and I try to educate people as best I can. I send him everything, just show him exactly what I was doing. Some people, it's hard to understand and to really take in sometimes that you made the wrong decision. We don't want to call people out, but it does happen to all of us.
Yeah, I did the same thing myself. I had a house, and I actually put, I think it was $120,000 into the kitchen and a brand new floor, and that was in like 2007-8. Wrong time to do it.
Boss, but they live in a area here north of the DFW airport, and they wanted to drop a lot of money into their kitchen, but their comps, they're not going to get the money out of it. But they're looking to sell their house. They're not looking to stay in the house, which is completely different. So, it's really hard to kind of tell people they have to want to take the advice, and if they're not willing to take it, sometimes I just don't even say anything.
It's better to put the $80,000 down and buy a new home.
So, Brandon, are you a licensed realtor?
I am actually not. My wife is, and my business partner is, but I am not an actual licensed realtor.
So what's your role in the business, and what's your passion?
Well, there's a lot of roles in actually what we do. My business partner's name is Dwight Harrison. We actually met through a contractor. So we were both doing our own separate businesses for our own separate reasons, and one of the contractors that we actually know introduced us and said, you guys are really alike. You guys have the same passion. You're very good people. You treat us right. You guys should meet for coffee one day, and we did. So that's kind of how we kind of came on board with each other. My part is in the business. I help raise money, and I do all the marketing efforts for the business. He runs and finds and negotiates all the deals, and then we both put our heads together to figure out what we're going to do to houses and properties. What's our exit strategy? And then he is a realtor, so he does sell them. But we don't do a lot of the actual selling ourselves. Thing that if he's out showing a house, we could be looking at another investment property. So we don't do a lot of this ourselves. We try to leverage as much as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer to do family buying, or when you have just a family buying their one house for their home, or do you prefer these investors that come in and buy 2 or 3 homes, or 6 homes, or 10 homes, or whatever? Which do you prefer?
The investors usually is what I prefer. Usually you can get deals done faster, but I do work with a lot of families. Our marketing efforts really go towards a lot of the families. But the majority of what we do is our marketing efforts. We actually receive a lot of leads, and we're not talking about foreclosures or short sales, because the average investor, that's what they're going after. And there's nothing wrong with that business model, but there will come a time in a day where that model is going to be not as profitable.
Correct, yeah.
Very specific marketing efforts. One of them you mentioned earlier is kind of relocating. Sometimes people have to relocate for certain reasons, and they, I don't call that distress, but sometimes it is a way of life. They have to move on. So we do market to people that are looking to relocate. We get the leads in. Dwight, he basically negotiates everything, and then we raise money. So we have very specific campaign. I spend probably 80% of my time on marketing. I have created systems and processes so everything's kind of taken care of. I have other people doing that for us. And I spend a lot of my time going to meetings, meeting people, and just educating people about money. I'm very passionate about money. And I'm very passionate about helping others, helping others reach their financial future. To me, that's incredibly, incredibly important.
I'm very passionate about money. I had to throw that in there. I'm also very passionate about money. I need it.
Yes, she is. Hey, Brandon, there's something going on with your audio.
Okay.
If I could tell you what it is, I would. But it's cutting in and out.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. Make sure it's plugged in all the way.
Let me change it. Is that in?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Let me turn up the volume too.
All right,
See if that
so
helps.
one of the things that I think you indicated that you're passionate about is flipping houses.
Yes.
Let our viewers know a little bit about what that means.
I don't call myself a house flipper. I call myself a residential redeveloper. Flipping houses can be taken the wrong way. That I buy cheap and I fix them up, and there can be a very negative connotation about that. So we do market to very specific people. We do buy houses. I raise money to purchase these houses. I use silent partners, and we really go in and we really study the market. So we actually work with home builders. We don't work specifically with them, but we get to know them and we try to understand exactly what the market wants. And we always make a home that sometimes has green or pink bathrooms, and we make them modern. We make them look beautiful. We just try to make them more livable. And something that people's going to walk in that's going to give them that wow factor. People spend a lot of money to buy a house, and that's part of the American dream. And it's really amazing whenever you have a neighbor or a future buyer walk into that house and say, holy cow, I love this. And it just gives them a sense of gratitude that they're spending their money, their hard-earned money, on something that they're really going to appreciate. So we do our best to make sure that we always buy it right, and we rehab it above what the neighborhood calls for. So if it's $1 million neighborhood, obviously we're going to put all the bells and whistles. If it's a $200,000 after repair value or what the house is going to sell for, we might put in a wine chiller. We might put in certain features that other properties don't have. So we just really try to separate ourselves above and beyond, and just provide a great product back for that neighborhood, to that community, as well as back to that city or town, because then again it goes in and it helps with taxpayers. You get more money for the house if it sells higher. So our really mission and goal is to really just bring back to life things, and real estate. It's so much fun to watch that whole process. Our motto is transformation and progress. And we're transforming lives, which is ourselves, the people that's going to move into the house, the community that we're working in, the people that are going to actually buy it, ourselves, as well as the neighborhood. So we're transforming things, and I love that word transform. It's a very powerful word.
It is, and I like what you said about saying that you like to do something different, like putting a wine cooler in, because every family likes to have something different that the neighbor doesn't have. It's something that's a little bit different, and I've got this. We always want to. I'm not saying we want to outdo our neighbors or anybody, but we always want to have that something different. And I think what you're saying is a very good idea, because they go, I never thought in a million years I would ever have something like this in my home. And I think that's a great idea, because personally they probably wouldn't buy it, but if it's there, wow.
Exactly. So many investors, they go in and they do the bare minimum. We have all seen that. We do get very bad rap. And so I try to really differentiate ourselves. The investors, they come in, if they want to be very a part of the process, we obviously make them part of it. If they don't, which a lot of them don't, they don't have time. I send them before pictures and then after pictures, and they're absolutely blown away. So we really try to do what people say they're going to do, but what most people actually don't. Because at the end of the day, I would rather make a $10,000 profit rather than make $25,000 and give something back that homeowner is going to say, that company's amazing. Because I only have one name, I only have one company, and that's very important to us.
Okay, Brandon, we're actually an interactive network, and we have a great question coming in from Block TV from Mike.
Okay.
He's asking, do you ever go above your budget rehabbing homes?
Yes.
Yes. So
all the time.
Oh,
well, no.
I have a love-hate relationships with our contractors, and I have a very
love-hate. Did you say?
Process. It's a love-hate relationship. I will say that we have we have a lot of respect for each other, and the way I run my business, and I'm going to answer your question.
Hang on, Brandon. So you love them when they show up on time, and you hate them when they come back with additional requests for this and that, the other thing.
Yes, yeah, that's exactly. I do put a 10 to 15% reserve fee that I put in there for the rehab, because we think sometimes we don't use it, sometimes we do use it. But you'd be surprised, more than likely we always use it, because when you're tearing down sheetrock, you never know what you're going to find. If there's termites here in Texas, there are termites. Every once in a while we do run into things. I'm not going to put a bad product back on the market. We always do it right.
What about mold? What about mold? Do you ever have a problem with mold in Texas?
Yes, we do. I've been very fortunate to haven't had to run across that, but it's a very strict process. I mean, you have to literally stop everything you're doing. You have to wall off everything. You have to have very specific people come in, and that can put you back 3 to 5 days very easily.
And how come you don't have a Texas accent, Brendan?
I've been told I do. My dad lives in Montana,
do?
and every time I go up there, everybody says, "You must be from Texas." So I've been told that I
don't
do.
hear one.
Really? Well, that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah. Do you, Ninon?
Do I have an accent? I have an accent. Of course I do.
I know you do.
But do I understand?
Do you hear a Texas?
It's funny. When I first came to America and I would listen to somebody from Texas, I could never understand what they were talking about. But in England, it would be rude to ask somebody to repeat themselves. So I used to really, really listen to every, like, catch this word and that word. So it was very difficult for me. You do not have an accent, Brandon.
Interesting. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
There you go.
But the Texas accent, by the way, is really, really American. That's truly American accent. As we think of being from Europe.
Exactly. Everybody thinks everybody wears cowboy boots and cowboy hats, and we get to work on horses. But in Fort Worth, Texas, you will find some of that, but you'd be surprised. Texas is not the way everybody likes to depict it.
Not at all, because I was in Texas and I said to the group I was with, these friends of mine, I said, take me to a real Texas bar. I want to go where they've got all the hats and the boots. I want to do the whole Texas thing. They couldn't find a place. I was surprised.
There are very few. Where did you go in Texas?
I was in San Antonio. And also Dallas, as was Dallas as well. Dallas is a beautiful, talk about
San Antonio
women. Woo.
Artsy.
Yes.
Yes. Well, next time you're in Dallas, make sure you call me. I'll take you out.
Oh, definitely. I have a good friend of mine actually in Dallas, lives there.
Very nice.
Yeah, Mike in Block TV must be reading my mind, because he's asking the next question I was going to ask you. So Mike wants to know, Brandon, how did you get other investors involved? And I was going to add, do you get the investors involved and then you do the rehab for them? Is that really what you do?
So to answer your first question, there's a lot of rules and regulations. My real estate attorney, he's financially free. He owns over 1,000 mobile homes and several mobile home parks. So that's actually one of my investment criteria that I personally invest in. He's like one of my best friends. I've got to know him, and there's a lot of rules and regulations about asking for money. You can get in a lot of trouble with that. I educate people on proper ways to invest money through forms like this, as well as I do other forms of educational promotion and so forth. So what I do is I find out from investor A, let's just call him John, whatever John's investment goals are, what are his investment goals? And I then try to match a property whenever it comes up to that specific investor. I have people come to me and say, I have $50,000. I'd like to turn it in 6 months. Then I have people that say, I have $1 million. I want to buy 12 different houses with it, and I want to hold it for 5 years. So everything that I do is geared around that specific investor. Everything. My goal and my job is strictly working for that investor, and I make sure that he gets the returns that he or she is looking for. Excuse me.
So that means you will have them come back to you. If you take care of them, they'll take care of you.
They always have.
Yeah. If you treat them right, my husband was the same way. You treat them right, they'll always come back to you, and his customers always came back to him, always.
That's part of my business model. I personally truly believe that a business model has to be it has to be part of a business of improving lives, or consumers/investors aren't going to come back, because at the end of the day, it's not all about making money. We make a profit, you have to, but profit's just a result of a system or process that's done very effectively. But I'm very passionate about giving people something that they didn't think they could really ever achieve, because me personally, I've always been told you can't do certain things, and I love it when somebody tells me you can't do something. I absolutely there's the right attitude, you have the right emotion. I try to breathe life back into investors that have lost a lot of money. I talk to investors all the time that say, I've lost $1 million. I'm very afraid to start investing in real estate. And I try to tell them, I'm not going to make up your mind for you. I'm just going to give you examples of what I've done.
Awesome. Do you which houses do you prefer to work with? You prefer to work with expensive homes, inexpensive homes? Which are the ones that really make you the best profit offer for our realtors out there to understand which is the one that's really sort of putting more time into? Because I would imagine each home you put the same amount of time, but each home you don't make the same amount of profit.
That's absolutely correct. I'm going to make an assumption here, but it's pretty close. 80 to 90% of most investors like to play, especially in Texas, at things less than $100,000. Okay, now in California, $100,000 is nothing. You can buy a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, it's pretty nice. But a lot of investors find these houses, and if it's below $100,000, they think it's a deal. And that's so wrong. That is a misnomer. That's absolutely wrong. You can make good profit, but you have to do a lot though. I like to play anywhere between the $250 purchase price and the after repair value is going to be closer to $400,000 to $500,000. The property that I'm looking at right now, it doesn't come along very often, but it's one I'm trying to fund right now. The purchase price is $520,000, has an after repair value of $1.1 million. That house needs an enormous amount of work. It needs over $200,000 worth of work. But the profit for that investor is, if I held it for 1 year, would be about $80,000 back to that investor. So I have a lot of people that just have $1 million and they want to make $100,000 a year on it, and I'm the perfect person for them because I'm buying it with almost $300,000 of equity. And I tell them, I have a contact here in Dallas where after I remodel a home, if it doesn't sell, I can put somebody in there, and the only cost that we are responsible for is the insurance and, well, the insurance. That's really it. Yeah. And so we're not paying utilities. We're not paying for anything. We have people in there taking care of the property. So our holding costs are very, very minimal, which makes it, when I explain the process to investors, they absolutely love it. And not a lot of investors do that. So I have certain specific strategies and relationships that I've built so that I can scale this business. My job is to help as many investors as I possibly can at one time. I can easily rehab over 5 properties at one time. And I know that sounds like a lot, but we've done it before.
Yeah. So you have a sort of a wide market there, but you also have the capital to be able to invest in these homes.
Myself or
your investors, either way.
Yes. I actually don't. I come from very humble beginnings. I can consider myself a workaholic. I'll have to say that, but I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. I work 7 days a week. If you're not passionate and if you don't have the emotion and the drive behind it, I don't work. This is a lifestyle for me. I love going out there and I love seeing the transformations. And I just want to tell you kind of a quick emotional story that that's one thing.
Hey, Brandon, hang on. We just got a suggestion here, actually from Block TV, that maybe it is Skype that's causing the problem. So I'm going to hang up on you real quick and call you right back, okay? Just answer with video for me.
Got it.
Oh, does that mean, Steve, you and I are going to be talking? Hi, Steve.
You can talk to me if you want.
I can talk to you. I thought that was fascinating about the gold. I always thought that America was the gold person, but it's not. China is. So I was fascinated by that. But these are all little different things that I find out. That's what's going on. So anybody out there, don't be afraid to find out what's going on in the world. It's always lovely to know what's happening. And, what's happening in Greece. They're still in bad trouble. And
Yeah.
but I
Is
believe
that better?
everyone's coming
Right.
out of it.
Is
So
that any
we had a
better?
question back from Mike,
Okay.
and he's asking how much would you need to start this flipping homes thing or rehab? How much somebody needs to get started?
Well, like I said, I have people come to me in all different ways. If someone only has 50,000, it's really, really, really hard. If they're interested in doing second liens, we will do that only if it's right. We will never put our investors at risk, ever, ever, ever. We never borrow more than 80% of what the home is worth currently. We are not speculators. We comp out a house. If the house is worth $100,000, I will not borrow more than $80,000 from that investor. Okay.
What
So
happens to the other 20 though?
Well, that's basically reserved. That's part of their safety net. You know, so many people invest in the stock market and they're investing in things that they could lose the very next day. These are tangible assets that they can go touch, and they realize I'm investing $80,000 in something that's worth $100. If I get hit by a bus tomorrow, God willing, that doesn't happen. Well, they just invested in something that they can sell. My business can sell for them, and they get all their money back, and plus some. So that's the investment I think people are looking for. That's what I try to educate people. Don't purchase something for $1 when it's worth $1. That's not good investing, personally.
Well, that's not investing, period.
Well, you're right. You're right.
That's not investing. But many
So
people
what
don't
happens?
understand that.
What happens when we further complicate this? That you may buy a $100,000 home. It's financed at 80, but it needs another $20,000 worth of work.
That's never happened to me because I will never have purchased the home. We have a general idea when we go in exactly what it's going to cost. I wish I had my sheet in front of you. I can show you. It's a very detailed sheet. We had the home inspected by home inspectors. We have structural engineers that will come out and look at the house. We do a lot of work pre-buying the house, so that does not happen.
So if it needs $20,000 worth of work, then what you're telling me, what I'm hearing between the lines, is that you buy it under market value or you buy it at wholesale?
Yeah, my goal is to buy that property for $55,000. I want to try to borrow 50. Let's just say 55,000 plus 20,000, so that the investor would have 75,000 into it, and the house is worth 100. Okay, so that's my goal if it only needs $20,000.
But that's in any real estate. That's been going on for years like that. I mean, you do not buy, as you said, $100 for $100. You buy something, because I've been in real estate for, I hate to say 3 decades. I'm not old enough, but I am, if you know what I mean. But,
You can't say those things. She's 39 and holding.
39 and holding, that's me. But we bought property, but my husband always bought property, obviously, where he could either, in commercial, put the rents up.
That's right.
That were correct to increase the value of the property, or buy the property at a lower value. My husband very rarely did any work to a building. Especially in commercial, he would get, the tenant would do the building, but what my husband would do would give them 2 or 3 months free rent, but the rent would be much higher. That's what
Correct.
he would.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this seller comes to you, Brandon, and says, "I want $80,000 for this house. It's worth $100," but after you look at it, you know that it needs 20 grand's worth of work. What's the next thing you say to the seller?
Well, if you try to talk to them as best you can, but then again, it kind of goes back to our previous conversation. If it's not a deal, move on to the next one. There's plenty of deals out there. I don't have enough time in my day to try to get someone to. I tell them up front, I'm an investor. This is how I make my living, and some people don't like that. Some people do, and they say the least I'm going to take is 80. Well, if we're $30,000 off, I'm just not going to, I'm just going to say thank you for your time. If you don't sell the property, please keep me in mind. I have other resources that I can help them with. I don't on the back burner. I have realtors that I work with that, let's say they don't have someone good. I can put them in contact that's actually a phenomenal realtor to help them sell it for that price. I'll make nothing on that. But then again, I'm trying to help other people actually get what they're trying to actually get out of the deal.
Yeah. I've got a good question here.
Sure.
How fast are houses going up? And I'm not talking right now, and I'm not talking about the year. I'm talking about how much are they going up each month?
So I was trying to look at that. I don't have that specific data right now. Last year was I know this was last year. 8%
okay.
was last year, but we have 30% less houses for sale right now than we did last year as well. So the amount of inventory is really, really declined. So as you know, that definitely does help buyers as well. So that could be a reason why the price is going up.
Yeah, and the reason I say each month, because it's fluctuating like that, because you said the right thing just now, there's not as many houses for sale now as there was. But also, I know they also have a lot of houses in foreclosure, which they aren't letting loose yet. So they've got a lot of hidden houses. I'm not going to say an astronomical amount, but there's still a lot of hidden houses that aren't in the market yet because they don't want to flood the market because they want the houses to go up.
Exactly. And, when I put in normally 50 contracts a month on foreclosures. We go after them. I'm not saying, but that's not our only model. And we might get one. We might get one at our price range. So they're selling to investors. We just talked about this a minute ago. Investors don't want to spend, they want to buy something for, one to one. There's a lot of investors buying real estate at 95 cents on the dollar, and they want to then rehab. It happens every single day. They overbid me all the time, and I don't know what to say to them. I mean, it literally happens every day because if they think that it's under 100,000, it must be a good deal, and that's not true.
Not true.
Not true. You would be floored at the amount of investors that are actually spending their own money, their own self-directed IRA money. Okay, they're making bad decisions. Bad. I see it every single day. That's one of the things I do with investors. I try to put them in contact with people like self-directed funds to where they can literally invest tax-free potentially. So that's one of the great alternatives. It's a very strong strategy that a lot of people are using, specifically here in Dallas with me.
You mentioned a very good thing just now, the IRA, people's fundings and people what they've saved. Is that a good idea for our audience? Is that a good idea to invest that into real estate, or is it a better idea to hold on to it and keep it as your rainy day activity?
Well, I would. It depends what kind of person you are. I would tell you, hands down, real estate. If you buy it right, you make money when you buy. From a real estate perspective, everybody hopefully understands that. I would invest it. Now, I would still diversify your portfolio. I do as well, but I diversify specifically within the real estate market between warehouses, mobile home parks, RV parks, single-family residence, to stuff. So I diversify within the real estate market. Some people want to buy gold. They want to put money in their businesses. But people come to me and they say, I've got $1 million here. I can't touch it until I'm 75. Can you help me? Well, I can sit there and show them what compound interest is, and it blows people away, the power of compound interest and making 12% on their money a year.
Yeah. So our audience need to know that not to hold it all, but not to get rid of it all, but to invest it wisely.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got money in there as well, but I'm 30 years old. I can't touch it until I'm 70-something years old, so I'm going wild and crazy. I'm buying up everything I can.
Oh, I would. If you're only 30 and you're going to wait till you're 70, yes.
Well,
I agree with you.
I'm some money in an IRA account, and we're working with our CPA, and we're doing a completely different model with her. What I would do for someone that's 40 and what I do for someone that's 60-30 is all completely different.
So.
All right, so Brandon, you're
Yes,
doing some things offshore. Tell us a little bit about your offshore activities.
What do you mean by offshore? I'm confused.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, I love clarity. I thought you told me when we were talking earlier that you have a business partner somewhere in the Middle East. Okay. Was I talking to somebody else?
No, you were exactly. So I have people that work around the globe for me.
Well, offshore is really drilling. So that could be the confusion.
To very, very easily. I have people working with me in Dubai. I have people working in Alabama. I have people working in India. They all do different specific functions for me. I can't do 100 things at one time, but I do provide jobs to other people to help them work on things. I am not I can't. I do a lot of videos. I do a lot of marketing videos. I cannot edit a video, so I have graphic editors. I have a guy in Romania, I think is where he's from. You know, he's doing some for me. So people across the globe that definitely do a lot of work, and it's absolutely amazing kind of to meet these people and talk to them and see what the world's like in different parts of the world. One of my mentors does a lot of real estate investing in South America, specifically Panama. So there's a lot of great real estate investment opportunities overseas, but that's a lot more for the expert investor, more serious investor. I'll do that eventually, hopefully one day, but not right now.
So how long have you been doing this, Brandon?
About 5 years. So I started
5 years.
actually.
Did you make some mistakes at the beginning?
Absolutely. You know, I want to make mistakes to a certain degree. That's how you learn. I mean, I can't. You know, one of the things about being a leader is saying I messed up, and I've messed up many times. But I do have a great team of people around me to look at all of my deals. When I'm my real estate attorney. So my first real estate purchase was a mobile home park. I started in the commercial arena. So the way you comp a commercial property and the way you comp a residential are two completely different ways. But I bought a very distressed mobile home park. I love distressed props, and we have now increased the rents. I've increased the revenue probably about 35%, and I of actually what the property's worth. I'm gonna hold it as long as I can. I love mobile home parks. I love RV parks, and every one of my marketing techniques, and I want to give it away to your audience, is I do a lot of work with probate. A lot of people don't think about that. I do a lot of work with that. And every once in a while I get a great commercial property. And I do need investors that have a lot of cash because I can purchase these commercial properties with, I'm talking 30 to 35% ROI on their money a year. Okay, they will need some work done, but every once in a while I run across these properties. So I do need certain investors that have certain things. I want to buy apartments only. When I find it, I'll call them.
That's incredible. You have a commercial property and probate is amazing because I've done that myself, and that's amazing. Profit can be made in that.
Hard to find, as you probably very well aware. It's very difficult to find those.
Oh, very, 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 very difficult. Yeah. If you wanted to do something else, what would you do? Oh, stuck.
It's going to be quiet for a while.
No. You know, I believe that we're, to get on more of an emotional side, I believe we're all here on this earth to help other people. That's what brings happiness and fulfillment at the very end of the day. You know, I read a lot of books of what makes people happy, and it's not money. It's actually doing something you never thought you could possibly ever do. You know, I'm very passionate about taking someone from a very let's use Africa for an example, okay, and giving a child an opportunity that they never could have. You know, I believe that God's going to bless me with abundant resources one day, and it's already happening. And we have an obligation and a duty to give back. And so I want to give back to kids that have always been told they can't do it. I was told, you can't go to medical school because your MCAT score wasn't good enough. But if you have the right drive, you have the right motivation. If you're the Rudy Rudiger kind of the clan, if you find that right person, I want to invest in them. I want to give people a chance to follow their dreams. And so, it's not necessarily a job, but that's what brings happiness. That's what brings fulfillment. Because when we're all laying on our deathbed, you want to know that you changed the world.
I've never heard such a truer word spoken as helping other people, and it's funny you should say that because I've just helped a woman that she's 45 years old, and she's never had a home. And everybody told me not to rent to her, and I said no. I said I'm going to give this woman a chance. And I saw her the other day. I went over to see her because she's in Vegas and my property's in Vegas. And I went to see her, and you've never seen a happier woman. And she says, she says, Ninon, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have this, and this is my first home. And you should see how she's looking at it and how she takes care of it now. She's keeping it so clean. But, that was just giving somebody a chance. There's a homeless woman with nothing. And I gave her a chance, and she's the happiest woman in the world. And I think if more people could, and you said it perfectly, money isn't always the thing, and it really isn't. It really is not always the thing. It's being the enjoyment of giving somebody else something that they've
Yes.
never had or they don't have, and you are behind it helping them, and not really wanting anything in exchange, because I really don't. And just to see the smile on her face is enough, and I think that, that's a great message out there for our audience to also understand, as bad off and as bad as you are, and as bad as what you don't have, there's always somebody worse off than you.
Can I say that when I've worked with a lot of investors who have a lot of money, and they're not happy people, so money doesn't make you happy. But whenever I tell them that they're providing a job, and I'm going to tell you a true story, just very, very quick. It's about a minute long. I hired a contractor, and he was above and beyond everything I ever asked for. And I hired him to be the project manager for one of our jobs. And his wife called me 2 weeks later and was in tears. It almost brought me to tears, so even thinking about it. And she said, "You fed our family that week for doing that." I was like, so I told my investor, and he was almost brought to actual tears. These people have a lot of money. They don't, they're wonderful people, but when they see what it can actually do for other people, that's what brings happiness and fulfillment. It was just an incredible story. I've never had anything like it, and I hope to have more of them.
And then that's where we have to help our people today, because there's a lot of them out there, and people are very proud. So people don't like to tell you or anybody their story, that they are poor and they don't have money, they don't have this. A lot of people don't want to do that because, we're all very proud people. And so sometimes we have to reach out to somebody where we think maybe we can help, and just do it. Not for anything in exchange, just to help somebody else get on their feet and move forward. And we have a lot of people right now like that.
I believe I agree with you 100%. I agree.
How's Denver
All right,
doing? I said, how's Denver doing?
Denver is doing great. we're scaling our network, and next we're gonna rock and roll like you have never seen before. So let me think. So Brandon,
Sure.
what would you be doing 5 years from now?
I'm still going to be doing the same thing. I'm going to be doing it at a complete different level. I think great entrepreneurs need to learn how to fire themselves. I build systems and processes across my business that I can then train other people. And I'm going to fire myself, and I'm going to let someone else do it. If I'm still here on this wonderful earth, which I hope to be, but you never know these days. I don't mean to be doom and gloom, but I see weird things happen every day. I really want to own hotels. I want to brand my name to a certain degree. I would love to go on The Apprentice, and when Donald Trump offers me the job, I want to turn him down, and I want to say no. I want to buy the deal from you, and I want to be at that level, but with a sense of purpose, to always keep grounded. My mother always taught me, if you do well in life, always stay grounded. Always remember where you came from.
I've got a great name for your hotels.
I'm ready.
Basic hotels.
Basic hotels.
We have Hilton hotels. We have all different hotels. A basic hotel. How amazing would that be?
If I can buy it at the right price, I'll buy it and I will name it that. You'd be
There
surprised.
you go.
Hotels give a really good cash flow. They have a lot of turnover, very similar to RV parks, but it's something that I'm really interested in trying to pursue myself. I like to challenge myself, and that's one of the things that really interests me.
That's funny you should say that, because I have always wanted a very expensive, Steve, you understand that, a very beautiful boutique hotel. I've always wanted a boutique hotel. I don't want a great big enormous hotel, but I want a very exquisite, basic, beautiful hotel that sort of, has everything there, and it's sort of just very small, very exquisite, in a boutique with all the top people.
I agree 100%.
There's a question I do ask you here.
Yes.
You've got here that you have the sort of leader in Texas as of realty and real estate. Why do you put yourself as the leader of Texas?
Thank you for asking that question. The way we do business is a little bit different. I was in the corporate world. I went back and got my executive MBA, and I thought I wanted to stay in the corporate world. And I want to tell you a quick story that's going to answer your question. When I graduated with my executive MBA, I didn't get one email from any of my colleagues, from any boss, or anything that says, congratulations, you did a great job trying to do better for yourself. Not one. And that's really scary about the corporate world, is that I have a feeling that it's all about shareholder value, all of it. And while that's very, very important, that's not everything. The people is absolutely everything that we do. So the business model that I run and I'm very passionate and devoted about, I don't know if you're familiar with conscious capitalism or not, and what that stands for. And it's about giving everybody that's part of the team part of the process. To me, everybody's on the same playing field. Because if you treat your people right, whether it's your contractor, you teach them that they're part, you train them to be part of the team, they're going to do the best job they can because they want to work hard for you. So the way that I run my business is completely different than most investors do. Most other investors do. When my investors give me money, it's the most humbling experience that you can possibly do. Someone gives you their hard-earned money, and I have to be absolutely ready for everything that comes in my way, and I have to run a business that I can be very, very proud of. In some of the things, I believe you have to be very purpose-driven. And I think the number one job that a leader has to do, specifically in my business, is to champion the purpose of the organization. And what that is for us is to inspire people to do what inspires them. That's why we actually get out of bed. It has nothing to do with real estate, but it's a bigger purpose than that. That's why we're actually in business. The number is to protect your troops. That is those are the people that work for you. Treat them the way they want to be treated, because if you treat them the way they want to be treated, they're going to take care of your customers. They're going to take care of everything that happens. They're going to fix something. They're not going to cover it up. They're going to actually do it right. Fourthly, you mess up when you mess up. We all make mistakes and we all learn from it, and I've made mistakes, and investors appreciate it whenever I say that. And let the egos down. I think that's really important to, just to be very humble. And don't take humility as a weakness, but I think it's something that a great leader should actually portray. So it's the way I run my business. It's the way I make people feel when they're in the business. The model itself of buying distressed property has been around for a long, long time. So how can I make it different? Well, it's the atmosphere, it's the culture. So it's the values, it's the values and the beliefs that everybody in my organization actually has, and that's what we bring to the table. So when investors come and invest with us, they know they're investing with people that look for the higher purpose. So that's a leader, in my opinion.
Yeah. So Brandon,
go ahead, Steve.
We actually are a conscious network. You may or may not know that.
Yeah, I do.
It is what our entire network is built on. We even have a cable TV show that Nina is also part of, called Living Consciously TV. So we know a little bit about consciousness, not much.
Talk for yourself, Steve.
So I have a question for you. A project manager just been with you for 3 months, and he recently picked up a project and ran with it. And he was supposed to show up at work last Tuesday, but he didn't. And he didn't call you. You have no idea where he is. What do you do?
It's never happened to me yet, and I hope it doesn't happen, but if it did, I would try to get in touch with him whatever way I possibly can. I know where they live. I know their social security numbers. They file all these forms for me. So I would do whatever I can to track them down and make sure they're okay, number one. Number two, I know exactly what they're doing on that project, so I step in and I take over. Remember, everything for the investor, so I'm not going to screw it up because it's my livelihood. I just try to make sure they're okay.
Physically.
Correct. Something happened, if they're in the hospital or something like that, like I said, we are part of the process. So my project manager comes to me on everything. We make decisions together. So I know exactly what's going on that project. They contact me every single day, sometimes twice a day. The reason you have a project manager is because they can help you on more projects at one time. I can handle one project by myself. But if I have 3 or 4 going, I need a project manager contacting the contractors every day, all day long. So something happened to them, I try to make sure they're okay physically.
Okay, so Brandon, a week goes by, and he calls you up and says, I've been depressed. not what you do.
You're gonna laugh.
Is this a psychological session?
No,
on,
it's just he opened the door to consciousness.
Oh,
So
I mean,
I want to know, how does a conscious corporate person responds to these things? Because these things happen, regardless that it hasn't happened to you yet.
And we're going to go and find a psychologist, and we're going to sit down together, and we'll be doing the entire way, and just to figure out what is wrong in his life. I mean, because that's something that obviously I was not aware of, and I want to be a part of it and try to figure out, if he still wants to work with me. But I become very good friends with these people at the same time. I bridge that gap, obviously, for professional reasons, but I get to know these people on a personal level because they actually feel more connected to you and devoted to the work that you're actually doing. So I would potentially try to sit down with them whatever way and offer whatever resources I possibly could for them, even for their family. If I had to pay for it out of my pocket, I would.
Mm. Great. Awesome.
I know we don't have much time, and I just wanted to ask you one quick question. As somebody out there who is first trying to get an investor, and they've never had investors before, and they're doing this real estate thing, and they need an investor, what's the best thing for them to do? How would they get a first-time investor for themselves?
Set yourself up as an educator. I have read an enormous amount of books. I have talked with an enormous amount of people, and I have learned the ins and outs to real estate investing, to investing from, in stock markets, to self-directed IRAs, to, understanding what a financial planner would actually do. Educate yourself the best way possible, because when that investor asks you a question you don't know how to answer, you can lose credibility really, really fast. I believe education is the key to almost everything. I have spent a lot of money not only on my MBA but on financial education, and so I have learned a great deal, and so I believe education is the best thing they should actually do. Don't go start advertising online. It's against the law. You can't do that. The SEC, if they found you, they could come after you, and that's not a pretty sight. So you want to be very, very careful. I do a lot of things through word of mouth. A lot of my investors say, hey, I made this much last year. How'd you do that? Call Brandon. And they did. So it starts really, really slow, but just be really, really careful what you do. I don't want people to get in trouble.
Good.
Okay,
good answer.
Would you like to give out your information, how people may want to contact you if they feel to do so after this fantastic show we just done?
Thank you for that. Again, my name is Brandon Basic. My last name is spelled B as in boy, A-C-H-K, but my company is Basic Properties, B-A-S-I-C Properties. The website is www.basic-properties.com. You're launching a brand new site actually on Friday called flipthishouse.dfw.com. So we are also entrepreneurs as well, and people can reach us at any time. I'd be glad to help anybody in whatever questions they have, whether if they want to invest, or just are looking to get involved in this type of real estate.
Okay, let me just say that again. It's called basicproperties.com, just in case we got a little bit muddled up on that. He can be reached there at any time. He's ready, willing, and able. And the other one is, I believe, is called, what is sellpoint.com?
Sellpoint.com it's a website that I use to blast out a lot of properties from. Okay. So it probably set online websites that will list houses for sale and so forth. But it's nothing I own.
Okay, well, basicproperties.com. There you are. You can meet Brandon. Basic.
Thank you very much. It's at basic-properties.com, and my email address and phone number is on there, so I can be reached at any time.
Basic-properties.com. Okay.
Well,
Steve, what's that? 7:01.
So
we're running out of time, or we have run out of time.
We're going to put in a quick word for our sponsor, creditcleanedup.com. 42 million people have credit scores below 620. If you want to make a difference in this nation, go get your credit cleaned up so you can buy the things you need. Go to www.creditcleanedup.com. Other than that, Brandon, you've been an absolute joy. The hour went by in 2 minutes, and I think
angels, because y'all found me at a great time in my life. So I really appreciate this opportunity. Thank y'all so very much. And if you're ever in Dallas, call me.
Oh, I'll be in Dallas. I'm going to come and see you. I'm going to call you anyway because I want to ask you a couple of questions.
Father, he
All
does
right.
a lot of commercial real estate investing in Las Vegas, an enormous amount. So
Okay,
I
I'm
need
going to call you and get some info from you, okay?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Again,
Steve,
thank you,
always
Brandon.
great to do a show with you.
Me too. I'm getting out of this cold, so for everybody, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Tuesday, always at the same time, 7 p.m. Mountain and 9 p.m. Eastern and 6 p.m. Pacific. We love you all. See you next time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Brandon. Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Watch the Maxed Out Money Hour Internet TV show program All About Money with your hosts Ninon and Coach Steve every Tuesday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central at realcoachingradio.net.
Today's podcast is brought to you by ObesityHotline.com, the silent killer, providing support and encouragement in the prevention of this rising epidemic. Featuring the Body by Vi Challenge. Is there a quick answer to the question? Go to www.obesityhotline.com. You're listening